To be fair, Bo said he was releasing a special. He did not specify that it was a comedy one. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, hi, my name is Zhariya Smith, and I typically make commentary videos just like this one. So if you guys happen to like that, if you happen to dislike my gorgeous face, make sure to subscribe down below and hit the notification bell. I get notified every single time I post. Just happens to be on Mondays and on Fridays. I'm tired. So the candle of the day is Midnight Blue Citrus. I forgot this candle literally existed. I cleaned out my closet and I found this candle and I was like, oh right, this is the candle that I had at one point. So we're burning that today. And we're gonna cut the intros. So Bo Burnham released a comedy special called Inside. And this is really funny. I'm a fan of Bo Burnham. I always have been since he released What, which I saw on Netflix, I believe. Or I saw it on YouTube. It was one of those. I was obsessed with him. I used to watch his YouTube videos when I was in like elementary school, which is crazy that 12 years. It's been 12 years since I've been watching Bo Burnham, and to see him succeed is something that I genuinely enjoy. If you go to Bo Burnham's post, you can see that I commented in all caps, "Ah," because I screamed. I literally screamed when I found out that Bo was releasing a special. And then tried to joke and say that he said he was releasing a special, but on the poster it says a comedy special, to clear up before anybody says anything. But yeah, so Bo released this special on the 30th. I'm filming this today on June 3rd. And I've watched it 3 times. I'm probably going to watch it again after I film this video during my editing process. But let's talk about Inside by Bo Burnham. So typically in my videos, I structure it like I talk about the plot, I talk about the characters, and then I do this, but it's a comedy special. So I'm just going to talk about it and give you guys my opinions as I go through the vibe. So first we open with Bo singing. I call it Daddy Made You Some Content because that's really funny to me, but I think it's, yeah, the song is just called Inside. This song's pretty interesting to me. I like how it was very short and very much to the point, and I enjoyed it generally. I would say it's not my favorite song in the realm of this special, but I definitely do enjoy it. And then Bo then goes into, I think the song's called Comedy, but I'm calling it Should I Be Joking at a Time Like This. This is a common theme in Bo Burnham's career where he will talk about how he's just a self-aware white guy, and even though he's a white guy who is self-aware, that does not make him any less of the problem than the problem in the United States. And he even says oh, just because I'm self-aware about being a douchebag doesn't take back the fact that I'm a douchebag. You know, he mentions white man's privilege and using his privilege to bring awareness to issues that are happening, but then during the song says racism, classism, and then just and other stuff.
Systematic oppression, income inequality, the other stuff.
And he also talks about the white savior complex briefly, like Sandra Bullock in The Blind Side specifically is what he mentioned. And he talks about wanting to heal the world with comedy, which if you haven't watched his special Make Happy, that was kind of the general vibe of the show. Was he's I want to use comedy and I want to make you happy, and at the end of the day, are you happy? You know, so it's very interesting that he kind of pulled that from his last special. And there's also some little tidbits and little nods to his old specials, which I actually quite enjoy as a person who's been a fan of Bo Burnham for the majority of my life. But then he actually intros the show, and he says oh, hi, I'm making this show about being inside, and he talks about how he's I hope that this show does for you what it's done for me. And oh, by the way, this one of the only warnings of this special was mentions of, so if that bothers you or it triggers you in any sense, I'm very sorry. I'm going to probably say that word a lot. I'm probably going to censor it still, but just so you know, it's about unaliving yourself. So if that is something that triggers you, then you can click off. I promise I will not be offended. But he talked about how this special, essentially, while he was making it, helped him from wanting to, in his words, from putting a bullet between his head. So gotta love both specials. But first song we get is, the song's called FaceTime with My Mom. it's very funny because as a person who, when I moved away and I was living in Orlando and I live with my mom again, but FaceTiming with her was a very interesting experience, to say the least. And I very much, this song I related to so much, especially, you know, I love my mom so much. But it's just really funny, like, FaceTiming your, like, older mother that doesn't quite, you know, get the whole phone situation. And he specifically mentions, like, in the bridge, like, she keeps on covering the camera with her thumb and being like, why can't I see you? That was just so funny. And it kind of, like, gave me, like, some sort of, like, joy. But as you guys know, if you haven't watched this special, you don't know, but it just goes downhill from here. Next, we get to the song How the World Works. And this song is very much a classic Bo Burnham song. When I heard it, I was like, this is giving me very much, like, words vibes, which was his first special that he did, or maybe even What. It talks about, you know, there's like a puppet named Socko, and there's like some little things like, oh, like how, like, where does Socko go when he's off of Bo's hand, and he's like, oh, I'm in a constant sleep paralysis between like not being alive and then like being dead. Like it was crazy. But Socko, when speaking about how the world works, talks about the elite and talks about classism and how history books are very classist, whitewashed. The world was built on blood, and educating people on and also talking about, and this is something that I am conflicted about because it's something that it's what my channel is, essentially. And it's like, Socko said, it's so funny, but Socko says that it is a burden to have to educate people on issues that don't affect them. And I think that's a pretty interesting thought process. And obviously this is like Bo singing, who's a, you know, straight white man. But it's very interesting because it's like, it's very exhausting trying to explain to someone why what they're doing is racist, for example, or homophobic. It's extremely exhausting. And then a person immediately getting defensive when you're just trying to help them, because they literally asked you to educate them, you know. And Socko makes a mention of like, oh, like, why is it every single rich white person wants you to teach them about issues just so they can self-actualize themselves, you know, and feel better about their standing in the world, which I found pretty interesting. And then Bo, you know, threatens to, you know, take him out of existence. And he's like, oh, are you going to behave? Socko's like, yes, sir. They finish the song, and then Bo kills Socko. Or, I guess, takes him off of his hands, so he goes back into the constant state of not between purgatory, essentially, is where Socko goes, which I found pretty interesting. The next sketch, it's like I knew what he was talking about, but I can't like put it into words. Essentially, it's like, you know, those like really cringy like young millennial like social media people that are like, oh, I'm a brand consultant, and it's just like a parody of brand awareness, and rich people who are like, oh, like, we're so self-aware, and talks about like, oh, like, your wheat thins, like, say like, oh, we're helping like buy wheat thins to help the fight like against Lyme disease, or like, hey, you're JP Morgan and you should say you're against racism. And it's just like, companies don't care about people, so why should we care? I found it pretty interesting. It kind of reminded me of like an Apple commercial, to be honest, that was like the black and white but with the little man bun. It was very funny and I enjoyed it, but that's one of the ones that I was kind of like, it took me like a bunch of watches to try to understand what that meant. So yeah, next we have the infamous song White Woman's Instagram, which is not my favorite song, but Bo, in this song, you can tell that Bo is very much a perfectionist. He's very good at everything that he does. You know, in the essence of it, when like a person can be like a jack of all trades but master of none. Like Bo is genuinely good at everything that he does, and the cinematography of this specific song and the show in general is like so great. Like, he poses for every single Instagram like thing and has different sets, different outfits, and it's like, how did he do this? Well, he did it in like a whole year, but it's like, how did he think about this, you know? Some people say that Bo is shading Gabby Hanna because of the whole written on the face thing. It'd be funny if it was. Maybe he is. But, you know, who knows? We don't care about stuff like Bo Burnham and Gabby Hanna are like on two different planes of fame, so I really don't, you know, whatever. But also, I think the point of the song was to critique men who make fun of white women's Instagrams and they're literally just being themselves and they're having fun. And clearly, white women have so much fun. I'm honestly kind of jealous. I wish I could have that much fun. So That's White Women's Instagram. Next is a little stand-up part where Bo talks about, like, is it necessary for every single person to talk about everything at the same time? And can anybody go an hour without talking about everything at the same time? It's very interesting to me. I think it's, as a person who makes commentary videos and talks way too much and talks literally all the time about every single thing, I do think that I agree. Some people should just shut up, and I feel like sometimes I should just shut up. Which is why there are many videos that haven't made, because I'm like, well, what's the point, you know? I'll put a clip of the quote if I can.
That every single person on this planet expresses every single opinion that they have on every single thing that occurs all at the same time. Is that necessary?
Next, we go into the little Unpaid Intern song, and all I want to say about the song is it's interesting how, you know, Bo talks about this in the next segment, but it's interesting how, you know, in the old days they talk about being working class and, you know, working and going to work and all that stuff, but like he's talking about being an unpaid intern and being worked to the literal bone to go back to your dorm, you know, and to be like empty and alone and making literally no money. And in the end, like, Bo like scats, which is funny, like, it's so good. Bo is just so good at what he does, obviously. But then right after we listen to the Unpaid Intern song, which is literally about like a minute long, if that, we get Bo, who is doing a sketch of reaction videos. And this is no shade to Graham Stephan before I say this, but the sketch basically goes that Bo's reacting to the song, and then as he's reacting to it, he sees himself pop up because the clip after the video was him react to the thing. So he reacts to himself and reacts to himself and reacts to himself. It's a constant loop that he literally just cannot get out of. And it reminds me of Graham, like, specifically in his videos where he's like reacting to a house, and then it's like, oh, well, my girlfriend reacting to me reacting a house, me and my girlfriend reacting to my girlfriend reacting to me, you know, like the videos that Graham does, or like his debacle with Tiffany Ma. I think it's really funny, but I think it's interesting. That was the first thing that popped in my head when I saw that. And obviously colors are beautiful, and he talks about, we go deeper into his thoughts about the song, and at first you hear like him talk about, hey, this is why I made this song. And then as he's reacting to himself, he's like, yeah, I always try to find meaning into stuff that I make to like make it feel like it's worth something. And then after reacting to him saying that, he's like, yeah, he's like, I'm talking about nothing, this song is stupid, like, and he's like, I'm sick of this, and then just stops reacting to the thing. And I find that pretty interesting. You know, reaction videos were a very big pillar of YouTube back in the day, and you know, some people still do reaction videos. I do reaction videos every now and then. Code does reaction videos pretty much only right now, so it's pretty interesting, that little part. Next we get into Jeff Bezos part 1. The song's like 30 seconds, and I just find it very funny. It's like, oh, like, go Jeff Bezos, go Amazon, go get him, Jeff. And it's like, Jeffrey Bezos is too rich and takes advantage. Whatever. Next, we get into another sketch of Bo talking. And in this scene, he's actually laying down on a pillow. Like, as it's such a pretty shot. I'll put a picture in. But he talks about companies exploiting children's attention spans and exploiting young children in general when it comes to the internet and companies, you know, making products and all that stuff. I think it's really interesting, and that's one of the things about Bo that I enjoy. He makes jokes, but he also makes self-aware jokes, but then also says, like, hey, just because I'm self-aware does not mean that I'm, like, suddenly a good person. Like, Bo very much in this special is telling you he is not a good person, but for some reason people still believe that he is. You know, in the Artist Dead song, it's about Bo. He wrote it about himself and other people, but, like, there's something to think about, genuinely. Next, we get into the song Sexting. For my interpretation of this song was basically Bo talking about the absurdity of texting and how when people talk to each other, they talk in emojis and sometimes you don't even know what the emojis mean, and it's like talking like Egyptian hieroglyphics, but it like makes no sense. And then it's talking about overanalyzing everything when you're talking to someone in that way in general. Such a funny song. I enjoy it, but it is not my favorite. It is very funny, and the emoji projections of him while he's dancing in his like underwear is like the funniest thing. I loved it. Next, there's like a 30-second, maybe a minute long clip of Bo talking about how he's so appreciative for people who are watching his content, and I think it's literally like, I know there's a deeper meaning to it. There's always a deeper meaning with everything that Bo does, but he's like threatening his audience Like, I hope you guys like this video, and he like has a knife in his hand. He's like, I appreciate you guys for supporting my content. And this really gives me like the background music, very much gives me like those millionaire YouTubers that like have a mostly all kid audience and literally exploit them and are like, if you don't like the video, then like I'm gonna, unalive myself. Stuff like that. That was that clip. There's also the green lighting. It's so oversaturated, and I feel like it's such a commentary. Like, I feel like Bo probably during this quarantine time was watching a lot of YouTube, because it's really interesting all of the YouTube elements he has in this. And that leads us to, so the song is called Stuck in a Room. And Bo's just sitting on his like feet, and he's just like singing a song about being stuck in the room. The specific part of the song that I enjoy is like, well, look who's inside again. Because honestly, growing up, I was a kid who was stuck in their room all the time. Definitely get the song. Definitely the song was not made for me, but like were made for people like me. And it's like you go outside, you go and you do all these things just to go back inside and just to revert into yourself. Which I get them. I get that. And then there's also another transition of him watching his old YouTube video. I think it was his first one that he made. And it's like a projection as he's watching it. And this then transitions into not my favorite song, but we're getting close. We're getting real close to it, which is a song called Problematic. Now, this song has two meanings, because it also talks about how people will revel in the fact that they're problematic. People like Tana Mongeau, Jake Paul, Candace Owens, Jeffree Star, Nikita Dragun. People who relish in the fact that they're problematic. And not in a way like brag, but are just like, oh, like I was so problematic when I was younger. And then Bo even talks about himself and talks about, he's like, oh, when I was 17, I dressed up as Aladdin for Halloween. I didn't do like brown face, but like it still felt like weird. Or like the jokes he used to make when he was younger. And granted, Bo was my age. He also crucified himself. I'll put a picture up. Like metaphorically crucifies himself. It's a good song. I like this song. General vibes, like I feel like I could be listening to this song like while I'm driving in the car. If he puts it on Spotify, which I'm still waiting for Bo to put Make Happy on Spotify, and so who knows when he's gonna put Inside on Spotify too. But then we get to the 6-month mark of his project, and we're about halfway done with the show as well. And also he says that he's like, oh well, I was expecting to finish the show before I turned 30, and then he's like, well, I'm turning 30 in a minute. And we just zoom in on Bo as the clock goes from 11:59 to 12. He's like, yay, about turning 30. And talks about his song Turning 30, which I find very funny. I feel it's such a good song. Obviously, I'm not turning 30 for quite the while, but it's interesting, and I feel like a lot of millennials are going to relate to that, because a lot of millennials are turning 30 or like in their late 20s. So he also makes a comment towards the end of the song. He talks about how Gen Z or the younger generation is getting poisoned by their phones, which is true. I already have ADHD as it is, but due to technology and due to stuff like this, and the song that actually I really enjoy tickles that part of my brain because of ADHD. But yeah, that's Turning 30. I like the song. It's really cute. Bo, it's just funny because he's just doing this inside like a single room, and like there's no crew, there's no cast. It's literally just him by himself in a room. So then Bo quickly talks about why you should not unalive yourself. And what's interesting about this clip, he's like, oh, people might care about you, or people will care about you at some point. And then we cut to Bo, which I'm assuming is I'm assuming he filmed the PSA about not wanting to unalive yourself in the beginning of him filming this, and this is now like months after, and he puts a projection as he's reacting to this video, like as he's clearly like losing his mind. And in the show, you can tell this is where he's losing his mind. Like slowly you can see, and it gets worse and worse and worse as we go on. And if you've been isolated you might not relate to this if you didn't follow by the quarantine guidelines that were set in place for us, but if you did, follow quarantine guidelines, you probably were stuck in a similar way to Bo, though I have some sort of reservations about this room, which I'll get into towards the end about my thoughts on the room. But next we have the Twitch streamer sketch, which I loved. It was very funny to me. Well, I say funny, but like literally it's about how Bo's typical day was singing, standing up, doing nothing, walking in circles, trying to go outside but the door is locked, and then playing his piano to be happy, and then crying again, and then going to sleep. And that was a complete day, which is very depressing. A day that I'm sure all of us have had, probably not playing the piano, but a day that we've all had. So, you know, yeah. Next we have Feeling Like S Word. I don't curse on my channel. This song is literally such a bop, and it's probably my favorite song. Well, I have like my top 3 songs, and I'd say this is like number 3. This song is such a bop. Like, I could like break it down to this song. Like, it is so good. It talks about basically just like feeling like not good, and, you know, not showering for like 2 weeks, and all your clothes being dirty, and like you just can't do anything right, and like that's literally typical depression like vibes. So it's a good song. Next, we get into the part where he talks about his mental health and how it's deteriorating even more. He physically says, like, I am not well. And we get the feeling in my body, like, song where he describes having a panic attack, which if you don't know what a panic attack is, congratulations. But, you know, some people can't, you know, some people have no choice but to feel a panic attack. So it's interesting for people to talk about that. Next, we have Welcome to the Internet, which would be my second favorite song. Welcome to the Internet, as a person who has ADHD, literally, that song is like crack to me. I've listened to just that song at least 10 times. It's so good. It talks about how the internet just has so much, and the internet is really toxic for you, and like you should not be on the internet so much, especially during like this time. The internet is not a good place to be, like 90% of the time. So that's the song. It's a really good song. I like it a lot. And next we have Jeffrey Bezos Part 2, which is Bo in like a camouflage, like grass outfit, which I don't particularly understand. So after the Jeffrey Bezos song, Bo then goes into a typical stand-up bit that would be in any of his normal shows, but he's just talking to like a wall, or I guess a camera, and like has like audience laughter in the background. And he talks about how he quit comedy 5 years ago, or doing stand-up rather, because he kept on having panic attacks while on stage, which, as a person who does stuff on stage, you don't want to have a panic attack while you're trying to remember stuff, you know, specifically. So he stopped, and then he got better, you know, was going to therapy, and then decided January 2020, I'm going to do a special. And then COVID happened. So, you know, that's like the joke there. He makes a joke about pirates and laminating maps, I think, which is just such a typical Jerry Seinfeld, like, stupid joke. But then this goes into Funny Feeling, which is a song that Bo does on the guitar, which he typically does not play the guitar. And it's about, here's the funny thing. On TikTok, this is one of the songs people were very much having discourse over, because they were like, what is the song about? I don't understand it. And it's about like mental health. It's about your mental health literally spiraling out of control. He specifically mentions looking up derealization and hating what you find. And it's just that funny feeling you get, you know, in your brain when stuff isn't going, you know, according to plan. I love this song. This song is not one of my favorites, but it is definitely up there, and I really appreciate this song, and I appreciate Bo being more open about his mental health than he has been in the past. Then, this is the part, I'm about to start crying. This is embarrassing, but this is the part in the special where Bo marks a year of the special being made, and you can see him just getting very angry and frustrated, and just like, we went through the whole process of him being like, oh, 6 months. Him being like, I'm just gonna work on this forever, and then he's like sick of it, like he wants the show to be over, and gets angry, starts pushing over lights, cries in the mirror, and then he comes up with the song Hands Up, which gives me very much like, I Can't Handle This Right Now, like from Make Happy, the like Kanye West like rant song that he has in Make Happy, gave me very similar vibes. Basically, Bo is saying that he can make jokes about, you know, different social issues, but in the end of the day, he cares about himself more than anybody else, and he wants people's attention, and that's all, you know, like in Art is Dead, he's an attention attractor. He revels in people looking at him and talking about him, and, you know, it's very interesting to me because Bo says multiple times his entire career he's not a good person. he is a douchebag, and just because he's self-aware about it does not mean that he's no longer a douchebag. Like, you know, and it's just like interesting to me, this song. I enjoy it a lot, but like he gets very angry and is like, I want you guys to like appreciate me, like I gave you guys content, and it's just very much like a Bo song. I love Bo Burnham, and this is like very much like Bo Burnham-esque song, like the Can't Handle This from Make Happy. Next we have the ending song, which is my favorite song, 1000%, and specifically because of the well, look who's inside again, and like the distorted voice. Like I said, ADHD, it tickles my brain, and then the show ends. But the ending is something that I still don't understand. I've watched like 3 videos explaining the ending, and I still cannot wrap my mind around it. Basically, Bo finally finishes a special, goes outside. He goes outside to it being a stage as people are laughing and being like, oh my god, this is so funny. And then we cut to Bo watching himself open the door. I'm like, what is happening? I'm a film student. Like, I typically can understand like concepts and like deeper meanings and stuff, but I'm genuinely confused. Because I'm like, oh, was this entire room a set? Like, was he just performing? Like, did he genuinely not feel these emotions and he just wanted to, you know? But overall, I love this special. I'm probably gonna watch it like 4 more times. Like all Bo Burnham specials, I have watched all of his specials all the time, and Make Happy had been like a comfort show for me for the past 5 years. So it's nice that I have another show to watch by Bo Burnham. I love Bo Burnham. I used to want to be a comedian because of Bo Burnham, because he made jokes that like I liked, you know. But yeah, that's my video, and that's my, I guess, review. Is this what this is? I still don't even have a title yet. That's my review on Inside by Bo Burnham. Mental illness and all. If you guys like this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up because it really helps on channels like mine. Make sure you also subscribe because I'm really close to 3,000 subscribers. And yeah, make sure to stay happy and stay healthy, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye guys.